They ridiculed the young Terran until the deadliest hunter declared him sibling. Part 1. The frontier station of HFY War floated in silence above the swirling storms of a gas giant. Many species called this place neutral ground, where enemies could talk without claws or lasers drawn. Delegates from across the galaxy filled the wide atrium with color and noise. Tall insectoids clicked their mandibles in polite argument. Huge mammals with thick fur growled low offers of trade. Sleek reptiles slid past each other, trading secrets in soft hisses. In the middle of all this stood Elias Kane, a young human from Earth. He was 22 years old, and small compared to most of the others. His skin looked soft. His body had no armor or spikes. His eyes were calm, but watchful. The senior Terran ambassador had stayed home with some excuse about urgent meetings. Elias came alone as a junior observer, basically someone to carry messages and take notes. He wore a simple gray uniform with the small blue circle of Earth on his chest. Many eyes turned toward him, then looked away fast. Some laughed quietly. Others did not bother to hide their amusement. A Krixar delegate named Gorvoth stepped close. The Krixar were famous hunters with thick hides, curved horns, and voices like breaking rocks. Gorvoth looked down at Elias and let out a deep, rumbling laugh. "Look, the Terrans sent their smallest cub to speak for them," he said, loud enough for many to hear. "His pack must think this conclave is a game for children." Laughter spread through the nearby crowd. A group of Yathari delegates flapped their feathered arms in delight. The Yathari were quick, sharp, and loved any chance to mock the weak. One of them, named Lyra, tilted her long beak and spoke in a high voice. "He has no claws, no venom, no shell. How does he plan to claim anything from the nebula? Does he think soft words will scare away the dangers inside?" More laughter followed. Elias felt heat rise in his face, but he kept his expression steady. He had trained for this kind of treatment. Back on Earth, diplomats warned him that many species saw humans as newcomers, too small, too young, too fragile to matter in the big games of the galaxy. He forced a small smile and answered in a clear voice, "Earth sent me to listen and learn. We do not always need size to understand value." Gorvoth snorted so hard that his nostrils flared wide. "Value," he repeated. "The only value I see is entertainment. This soft little thing thinks he belongs among real players." A Voran trader standing nearby joined in. The Voran were wide and slow, but very rich in metals and fuel. The trader rubbed two of his 6 hands together and said, "Maybe the humans use him as bait. If something hungry comes, he will be the first meal. Easy to catch, easy to chew." The crowd laughed again. Elias stood still and let the words wash over him. He had heard worse in training simulations. He reminded himself that ridicule was just noise. It meant nothing. Until actions proved otherwise, he looked around the atrium, trying to read faces and postures. Some delegates avoided his gaze. Others stared openly with pity or scorn. High above on a shadowed balcony, a different figure watched everything. Craver Thal stood alone, as always. The Vairaki never moved in packs. They hunted solo and died solo, unless the prey was worthy of legend. Craver was the most feared hunter alive. His black scales absorbed light. His 6 eyes glowed faint red in the dark. His claws could slice through starship hulls. His name made even the boldest warriors lower their voices. Craver had come to HFY War for one reason. The new nebula held something ancient, something big, something that might deserve a true hunt. He cared nothing for trade talks or resource claims. He only wanted to smell the wind and see if worthy blood waited inside the clouds. His gaze drifted across the atrium and stopped on Elias. The young human stood surrounded by mocking giants. Yet his back held firm, remained straight. His heartbeat stayed even. His scent carried no panic, only quiet focus. Cravor tilted his head and drew in a slow breath through wide nostrils. The smell was strange, clean, sharp, like fresh snow on a mountain, mixed with something harder, like steel left in fire. For a long moment, Cravor studied the small figure. Then he turned away and melted back into the shadows. No one noticed him leave. Most beings never did. Down below, the ridicule continued. A new voice joined the group. This one belonged to a Silene delegate. The Silene were tall and thin, with skin like polished stone. Their words always sounded cold and final. The delegate named Vex looked at Elias and spoke without emotion. Your species claims much for so little proof. You spread fast, but break easy. The nebula will eat you and forget your name before the first cycle ends. Elias met Vex's gaze and answered calmly. We break sometimes, but we learn from every break. That is our proof. Like grinding gravel, learning will not save you when teeth close around your throat. The laughter rose once more. Elias felt the weight of every stare. He wanted to say more. He wanted to show them something real, but this was not the place or time. He bowed his head slightly in the polite gesture. Earth taught its diplomats, then walked away from the group. He moved toward the edge of the atrium, where fewer eyes followed. He stopped near a wide window that looked out at the gas giant. The storms below churned in red and gold. Elias stared at them and let his mind settle. He thought about the data packets he had read on the journey here. The nebula was not empty. Probes vanished without reason. Signals died fast. Something lived in there. Something smart. Something patient. He whispered to himself, "We will see who learns first." Behind him, the delegates returned to their talks. The Krixar bragged about their strength. The Yathari schemed for quick profits. The Voron counted their wealth. No one paid attention to the lone human anymore. They had already decided he was nothing. Cravor Thal watched from a higher level. His claws tapped once against the railing, then stopped. He had seen many young ones face mockery. Most crumbled, some ran. Few stood firm and kept their scent clean. This one had done all three. Cravor felt a faint stir in his chest. Not pity, not respect, yet something older. Something that lived deep in Virakai blood. The scent of a possible sibling. He turned and walked toward the docking bays. His ship waited dark and silent like himself. The hunt would begin soon. Not here, not yet, but soon. Elias stayed by the window a little longer. He felt the station hum around him. Engines, voices, footsteps. He knew the real test waited outside in the nebula. He knew the laughter would grow louder if he failed. He also knew that failure was only final if he stopped moving. He took one last look at the storms below. Then he walked toward the data rooms, where he could work in quiet. No one followed. No one cared. The conclave continued without him. Delegates argued over maps and claims. They drew lines on holograms and promised each other shares of riches. None of them noticed the small human slip away. None of them saw the shadow of the deadliest hunter move toward the void. The game had not started yet, but the pieces were already in place. They ridiculed the young Terran until the deadliest hunter declared him sibling. Part 2. The conclave hall grew louder as the main talks began. Huge screens showed maps of the nebula, swirling clouds of purple and green marked with thin lines of claimed zones. Delegates shouted over each other. The Krixar wanted the core for weapons. The Yathari demanded the outer edges for fast trade routes. The Voron offered loans to whoever paid the most. Everyone spoke at once. Elias sat in the back row. His small chair felt even smaller among the giant bodies around him. He listened carefully. He took notes on a thin data pad. He said nothing. The senior delegates from other worlds had the floor. They waved arms, tentacles, and wings. They ignored him completely. After 2 hours, the lead moderator, a tall, neutral AI hologram, called for new evidence on the missing probes. Everyone turned to the science teams. A Yathari researcher stepped forward. She displayed fresh scans. Vanished in patterns. Not random, not accidents. Something pulled them in. Something learned their paths. The room grew quiet for the first time. Gorvath, the big Krixar hunter, laughed again. He said, "Simple machines fail. That is all. No monster hides in pretty clouds. We send warriors, not toys." Many nodded. The debate moved on to who should claim the first mining rights. Elias raised his hand once. The moderator did not see him or chose not to. Elias lowered his hand and waited. He knew better than to shout. Later in a side chamber, Elias found an empty console. He sat down and pulled up the raw probe data. No one guarded it. They thought it worthless. He scrolled fast. He saw timestamps. He saw angles. He saw how each lost probe sent one last burst of fear-coded signal before silence. He noticed something the experts missed. The losses formed a spiral, a tightening spiral, like a predator circling closer each time. His fingers moved quicker. He cross-checked with nebula currents. No match. Checked gravity wells. No match. He checked radiation spikes. Slight match, but not enough. He leaned back and fought hard. Something alive waited in there. Something that watched and waited and struck when sure. He tried to send his findings to the main hall. The system blocked him. Junior access denied. He stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he stood up. He walked out of the chamber and headed to the lower maintenance levels. No one stopped him. No one noticed. In the dim corridors filled with pipes and humming machines, Elias found a small scout drone bay. The drones were simple, used for quick repairs or short surveys. He chose the smallest one. It had basic sensors, a strong engine, and room for one extra module. He pulled out his personal toolkit, a gift from Earth engineers. He worked fast. He added a better scanner. He added a tight beam sender. He added a small shield generator meant for human EVA work. He programmed the drone to fly silent, to avoid early detection, to record everything and send data back in bursts. He launched it from an outer hatch. The drone slipped into the dark and vanished toward the nebula edge. Elias watched on a small monitor in the bay. He saw the first clear images come back. Beautiful, deadly clouds, twisting like living smoke. He saw the probe move closer. He held his breath. Far away in the black, Cravor Thal sat in the cockpit of his hunter ship. The ship was long, thin, and black. It drank light. It made no sound. His 6 eyes studied the same nebula from a different angle. He had left the station hours ago. No one saw him go. He tracked his own path. He smelled the void. He felt the pull of something old and strong. His sensors picked up a tiny blip. A scout drone, human make, small signature. He tilted his head. The drone flew straight toward danger. No caution, no backup, just forward. Cravor checked the origin. The launch came from Kael'vor Maintenance Bay, the same bay near where the young Terran had walked earlier. Cravor drew in a slow breath. The scent memory returned. Clean, sharp steel and fire. He watched the drone on his screen. It moved with purpose, not fear, not greed. Purpose. He felt the stir again, deeper now, like an echo of old hunts when young Viraki proved themselves alone. He could have ignored it. He could have flown on alone, but something held him. He adjusted course. His ship followed at a distance, cloaked, silent, patient. Back on the station, the conclave broke for rest. Delegates moved to food halls and private rooms. They laughed about the soft human. They joked about how he would run when real danger came. Elias stayed in the maintenance bay. He watched his drone feed. He saw the spiral tighten. He saw shadows move inside the clouds, shapes too big for probes, shapes that pulsed with light. He whispered to the empty room, "You see me now, do not you?" The drone sent a sudden alert. A massive energy spike. Something woke. Something turned toward the tiny intruder. Gripped the console. His heart beat faster, but his hands stayed steady. He sent a command. Abort. Return now. Too late. The feed showed a flash. A tentacle of light and shadow lashed out. The drone spun. The camera shook. The last image showed a huge eye opening in the dark. Then silence. Elias sat still for a long time. He stared at the blank screen. He felt no panic, only cold focus. He knew what came next. The nebula had tasted metal. It would want more. He stood up. He walked to a storage locker. He pulled out an emergency EVA suit. He checked the seals. He checked the oxygen. He took a welding torch. He took a gravitic grapnel, a Terran tool for moving heavy objects in zero gravity. He took a small power cell. He prepared quietly. No rush. No fear. Above in the main halls, delegates returned to talks. They argued over shares again. They forgot the probes. They forgot the warnings. They forgot the small human who had tried to speak. Cravor Thal watched from afar. His ship hung on the edge of the nebula. His claws tapped once on the control panel. The drone was gone. The young Terran had lost his scout. Yet the scent lingered in Cravor's mind. Clean, sharp, unbroken. He decided to wait. He would watch what the small one did next. If nothing, then the hunt stayed his alone. If something, then perhaps more than one hunter deserved to face the dark. The station lights dimmed for night cycle. Elias walked back to his tiny quarters. He lay on the narrow bunk. He stared at the ceiling. He thought about Earth, about home, about why he came. He thought about the laughter. He thought about the spiral in the data. He closed his eyes. He did not sleep. He planned. The nebula waited, patient, hungry, ready. The pieces moved closer together. No one else saw it yet, but they would soon. They ridiculed the young Terran until the deadliest hunter declared him sibling. Part 3. Alarms screamed across Vor. The station shook hard. Lights flickered red. Emergency voices shouted from every speaker. Evacuate! Evacuate! The nebula has awakened. All ships pull back. Delegates ran in panic. Some tripped over robes. Others pushed each other aside. The main survey vessel floated just outside the station. A huge ship, full of scientists and equipment. Now it burned. Bright flashes came from its hull as something massive wrapped around it. Tentacles, thicker than towers, squeezed. Metal groaned and cracked. The ship split open like dry wood. Air and bodies spilled into the void. In the conclave hall, Gorvath roared and grabbed his ceremonial blade. He called to his warriors, "Charge! We meet this beast in battle." His team followed him out. They boarded small fighters. They flew straight at the monster. Their horns gleamed. Their engines roared. The Leviathan answered fast. Wave of psychic force hit every mind in range. Pain, confusion, fear. Most pilots froze. Their ships drifted helpless. The Leviathan lashed out. One tentacle caught a Krixar fighter. It crushed the craft into sparks. Another tentacle swept across the station hull. It tore open a cargo bay. Atmosphere rushed out. Screams filled the corridors. Elias ran through the lower levels. He wore his emergency EVA suit. The helmet sealed tight. The welding torch hung at his belt. The gravitic grapnel bounced against his hip. He reached a monitor station. He saw the survey ship breaking apart. He saw small figures trapped inside escape pods, jammed in twisted metal. He saw young interns from different species. Some were the same ones who laughed at him earlier. He did not hesitate. He moved to an airlock. He cycled the door. He pushed off into open space. The station spun slowly behind him. The gas giant glowed below. The nebula pulsed ahead like a living heart. He activated his suit thrusters, carried him forward. Cravor Thal watched from his cloaked ship. He hovered close. His 6 eyes tracked every move. He saw the tiny human leave the station, alone. No backup, no armor, no fear. He saw the human aim straight for the dying survey ship. Cravor felt the stir in his blood grow stronger. This was no cub running from danger. This was a hunter moving toward it. Elias reached the wrecked ship. He grabbed a broken strut. He pulled himself along the hull. He found the first escape pod. A young Yathari inside pounded on the glass. Her feathers shook. Her eyes were wide with terror. Elias used the welding torch to cut the jammed latch. The pod door popped open. The Yathari floated out. She stared at him. She could not speak through the vacuum, but her look said everything. He pointed toward the station. She nodded and used her small wings to glide away. Elias moved on. He found 2 more pods. One held a Voran child. The other held a Silene apprentice. Both alive, both scared. He freed them the same way. Fast cuts, quick pulls. He sent them back towards safety. The Leviathan noticed him. A tentacle swung close. Elias twisted his body. He fired the gravitic grapnel. The hook caught a piece of debris. He yanked hard. He swung away just as the tentacle smashed the spot where he had been. Metal shards flew past his visor. He kept moving. He kept freeing trapped beings. On the station, Gorvath and his warriors fought hard. Their blades cut into the Leviathan flesh. The beast bled dark fluid that floated in clouds, but every wound closed fast. New tentacles grew. The Krixar roared louder. They charged again. They died one by one, their blood mixed with the void. Elias reached the last group. 5 interns huddled in a breached observation deck. Air leaked fast. Their suits showed low oxygen. He cut through the wall. He pulled them out one by one. Alira, the same Yathari who mocked his soft skin earlier, floated last. She looked at him. Her beak trembled. She touched his arm in thanks. Elias nodded once, pointed the way home. The Leviathan turned fully toward the station now. Its core glowed bright. A psychic scream hit again. Elias felt it like knives in his skull. He shook his head. He focused. He saw a weak point on the beast, a cluster of glowing nodes near the center. He remembered the drone data, the spiral, the learning, the adaptation. This was the brain, or close to it. He checked his gear. The welding torch had low power. The grapnel still worked. The small power cell from his suit hummed. He made a quick plan. He would swing close, use the grapnel to anchor, use the power cell to overload a fuel line on the wrecked survey ship, make an explosion big enough to hurt the nodes. He pushed off. He flew toward the beast. Tentacles whipped past. He dodged. He twisted. He kept his eyes on the target. Cravor Thal watched every second. His claws gripped the controls tighter. The small human moved like prey. No, like a lone hunter, facing odds that would break most. Elias reached the survey ship. Remains. He hooked the grapnel to a main fuel tank. He dragged a loose cable. He connected the power cell. He set a timer. 30 seconds. He pulled back hard. He swung away on the grapnel line. The Leviathan sensed him. A massive tentacle came down. Elias released the grapnel. He tumbled free. The tentacle hit the hull. The explosion bloomed, bright white. Light filled the void. The nodes shattered. The beast screamed again, this time in pain. Cravor saw the blast. He saw the small figure spin away, damaged but alive. Suit cracked. Helmet visor spiderwebbed. Blood floated inside. Elias' body jerked from the force. He floated limp, yet still moved one hand to adjust his thrusters. He refused to die easy. Cravor made his choice. He decloaked. His black ship appeared like a blade in the dark. He launched himself out. No suit, no helmet. Vairaki needed none in short hunts. He leaped toward the Leviathan. His claws sank into its hide. He tore forward, ripping flesh, opening paths. The beast thrashed. He held on, climbed toward the wounded core. Elias saw the black shape move. He saw claws flash. He saw the hunter fight with pure fury. He felt something shift inside him. Not fear, not hope, recognition. The Leviathan weakened, but fought back. Tentacles wrapped around Cravor. They squeezed. Cravor roared. His voice carried through the void like thunder. He cut deeper. He reached the shattered nodes. He drove both arms in. He twisted. The beast convulsed. Its light dimmed. Its grip loosened. Cravor pulled free. He floated back. Blood covered his scales. Some his, some the beast's. Elias drifted closer. His suit alarms beeped. Oxygen low, power failing. He looked at Cravor. Their eyes met through the cracked visor. Cravor's 6 red eyes narrowed. He drew in a deep breath. He smelled the human through the void. Clean, sharp, steel and fire, mixed with blood now, mixed with endurance. The Leviathan gave one last spasm, then it collapsed inward. Its body folded, its light died, silence returned to the nebula. Cravor turned fully toward Elias. He extended one massive clawed hand. Palm up, claws sheathed. The old Viraki sign, Sibling. The word echoed in radio static across the surviving ships. The delegates who watched from escape pods stared. The ones who mocked him fell quiet. The ones who laughed now swallowed hard. Elias raised his own hand, weak, slow. He touched the offered claw. His glove met scale. He held on. The deadliest hunter had spoken. The galaxy would never forget. They ridiculed the young Terran until the deadliest hunter declared him sibling. Part 4. The Leviathan floated dead. Its huge body drifted in pieces. Dark fluid spread slow like ink in water. The nebula clouds glowed soft around the wreck. Light from the gas giant painted everything red and gold. Silence covered the void. No more screams, no more alarms, only the soft hum of damaged ships and the hiss of leaking air. Elias hung in space. His suit sparked at the cracks. Oxygen read critical. His left arm hurt bad from the explosion. Blood floated inside his helmet in small red drops. He forced slow breaths. He kept his eyes open. He looked for the station. He saw escape pods moving away. He saw fighters circling back. He saw no one close enough to reach him yet. Cravor Thal floated near. His black scales shone wet with ichor. His chest rose and fell heavy. He had torn the core open with bare claws. Now he turned slow. He looked at the small human. The young Terran still moved, fought the dark, still refused to quit. Cravor felt the old blood song rise inside him. The song only Viraki heard when they found one worthy. He pushed off from a chunk of Leviathan hide. He drifted toward Elias. His massive form blocked the light. Elias saw him come. 6 red eyes locked on cracked visor. Cravor reached out again, palm up, claws in. The gesture stayed firm. Elias lifted his good arm. His glove touched scale. Cold, hard, real. Cravor pulled him close, gentle for such strength. He held Elias against his chest like a shield. The Viraki body heat warmed the broken suit. Cravor spoke low. His voice came through suit radio like stones rolling down a hill. You struck the weak point. You made the opening. You bled without running. You are Hunter. Elias tried to answer. His voice cracked weak. Thank you. Cravor made a sound deep in his throat. Not laugh, not growl, something between. He adjusted his grip. He activated a small beacon on his harness. Red pulse, help call sent. But not to station. To his own ship, the black hunter vessel uncloaked again. It slid silent through the debris. It opened a side hatch. Cravor carried Elias inside. The ship interior was dark, narrow. Low lights glowed red along walls. No chairs, no beds, only harnesses and weapon racks. Cravor laid Elias on a flat metal slab. He pulled emergency patches from a wall kit. He sealed the suit cracks first. Air hissed back in. Elias breathed easier. Cravor worked fast. He cut away damaged glove. He wrapped the broken arm with stiff bands. He injected something from a tube. Pain faded slow. Elias watched the huge hunter move with care. No waste, no rush. "Why?" Elias asked, soft. Cravor paused. His 6 eyes met human ones. "You hunted alone. You faced death with open eyes. Vairaki know this scent. It is sibling scent. Not pack, not friend. Sibling. Blood calls to blood." Elias felt something shift inside. Not pride, not fear, understanding. He had come here as errand boy. Now he floated in the ship of the galaxy, most feared killer. And that killer called him family. Outside the nebula settled. The Leviathan remains sank slow into deeper clouds. Ships from the station moved in careful. Some scanned the wreck. Some picked up survivors. Delegates talked fast on open channels. They spoke of the beast. They spoke of losses. They spoke little of the human who helped stop it. Gorvath survived. His fighter limped back to dock. His armor cracked, his horns chipped. He stood in the main bay and watched pods arrive. He saw the young Yathari interns step out. They looked shaken but alive. One pointed toward the black ship that hovered close. She said, "He came for us, the small Terran. He cut us free." Gorvath stared. He remembered his laughter. He remembered calling Elias cub. He felt heavy now. Not anger, not shame. Quiet weight. Lyra, the Yathari who mocked soft skin, stood nearby. She folded her wings tight. She spoke low. "He risked everything. For strangers, for us." Vex, the cold Silene, walked up. He said nothing. At first, then he spoke. The soft one saw the nodes. He made the blast. "Without him we lose more." The delegates gathered. They watched the black ship. No one dared approach. Vairaki ships brought death, not talk. Yet this one waited, patient. Inside, Cravor finished the patches. He stood back. He looked at Elias. The human sat up slow. Color returned to his face. Cravor handed him a water tube. Elias drank. He felt strength creep back. "What now?" Elias asked. Cravor turned toward the front viewport. The nebula waits still. Riches wait. Claims wait. But first, respect. You earned it. I give it. He opened a small locker. He pulled out a single curved fang, longer than Elias' forearm. Polished black at the base, white at the tip. He held it out. "This is mine. From my first true hunt. Wear it. When the hunt calls again, call me. I answer." Elias took the fang. His fingers closed around it. Heavy, warm somehow. He slipped the cord over his head. The tooth rested against his chest. He nodded once. "Thank you, sibling." Cravor made the throat sound again. He turned to controls. The ship moved slow. It carried them toward the station dock. No rush, no show. When the hatch opened, delegates waited in silence. Hundreds stood in the bay. Krixar, Yathari, Vorin, Silene. All quiet. Elias stepped out first. His suit patched, his arm in sling. The fang hung visible. Cravor followed behind, tall, wide, shadow over everything. Gorvath stepped forward. He lowered his head deep. The Krixar bow, rare. He spoke loud so all heard. "I mocked you. I called you whelp. I was wrong. You are warrior. You are more." Lyra stepped next. She opened her wings wide, in Yathari respect. She said, "We laughed, we feared. We owe you life." Vex came last. He placed one stone hand over his chest. Silene salute. He said, "Your species learns fast. You proved it today. The galaxy sees now. Elias looked at them all. He felt no need to speak loud. He said only, "We all fought. We all survived. That matters." Murmurs rose. Not laughter. Not scorn. Awe. Respect. Word spread fast, through channels, through ships, through stations. The young Terran faced the Leviathan. He struck true. He earned the word sibling from Craver Thal, the deadliest hunter alive. Craver stood silent. He watched Elias. He felt the blood song settle. Calm now, sure, he turned to leave. No words needed, his part done. Elias watched him go. He touched the fang. He knew this changed things. Not just for him, for all humans. The galaxy learned Terrans came small. They came young, they came soft. Yet when tested, they stood, they bled, they won. The conclave would meet again soon. They would claim the nebula, they would divide riches. But the real prize already given, a bond older than stars, a title heavier than crowns. They ridiculed the young Terran, until the deadliest hunter declared him sibling. Part 5. The station lights returned to normal, white and steady. The alarms stopped. The air recyclers hummed soft. Delegates gathered again in the main hall, not for argument this time, for witness. They stood in quiet groups, Krixar with lowered horns, Yathari with folded wings, Voran with still hands, Silene with calm stone faces. All eyes turned to the center platform, where Elias stood. He wore a fresh uniform, the patched EVA suit gone, the fang pendant rested against his chest, black cord strong. The broken arm hung in a clean sling. He looked small among the giants, yet no one laughed. No one whispered mock names. The air felt different, heavy with something new. Respect. The moderator hologram flickered on. It spoke clear. The conclave resumes. We claim the nebula. The Leviathan threat ends thanks to combined effort. We divide resources fair. We sign the accord now. Papers and datapads passed. Hand to hand. Signatures glowed on screens. Agreements locked in. No one argued much. The riches waited safe. The beast lay dead. The path opened wide. Yet every delegate knew the real story went deeper. Gorvath stepped forward first. The big Krixar hunter carried no blade this time. He stopped in front of Elias. He placed one massive fist over his heart. Krixar's salute of equals. He spoke loud. My warriors died brave. They fought with honor. You fought with them. You freed our young. You struck the core. I name you ally. I name you brother in hunt. Elias met his gaze. He nodded once. Thank you, Gorvath. Your strength held the line long enough for the rest. Gorvath stepped back. His pack followed. Each placed fist over heart. Silent tribute. The sound of many fists thumped once, echoed through the hall. Lyra came next. The Yathari diplomat opened her wings full span. Feathers caught the light. She bowed low, head almost to floor. We mocked your softness. We feared your small size. We were blind. Saw what we missed. You saved what we could not. We owe you life debt. Yathari, do not forget. Behind her, other Yathari repeated the bow. Wings spread low, a wave of color and quiet thanks. Vex approached slow. His stone skin clicked soft with each step. He stopped close. He raised one hand, palm out. Silene, sign of truth recognized. He said, your mind cut through confusion. Your action turned defeat to victory. Humans learn fast. Humans endure longer than we thought. The galaxy notes this. More Silene joined the salute. Hands raised, palms open. The hall filled with soft clicking sounds. Approval. Other delegates followed. Voron traders bowed with all 6 hands. Traders from smaller worlds added their gestures. Even the neutral AI hologram dipped its projection head in programmed respect. The conclave changed in that moment. No longer just trade talks, it became recognition. Word traveled fast, beyond Kael'vor, through relay buoys, through news nets. Ships and distant systems picked up the word. A young Terran, earned sibling from Cravor Thal. The deadliest hunter alive. The one who never joined packs, the one who never spoke kinship. Now he had. The galaxy listened. On Earth, stations buzzed. Operators stared at screens. Diplomats smiled quiet. Pride rose slow. Humans had come far from home. Now they stood equal, not by size, not by weapons, by will, by blood shared in void. Elias stayed calm. He answered each greeting simple. He shook offered limbs. He met every eye. He felt the weight of the moment. He knew it mattered. Not for glory, for future, for every human who would come after. Cravor Thal watched from the edge. He stayed in shadow as always. His black scales blended with dark walls. His 6 eyes followed Elias. He saw the small human handle the flood of respect. No pride, no fear, steady like stone. He felt the blood song settle complete. No more stir, no more question. The young one belonged. When the formal part ended, delegates moved to feast halls. Food and drink flowed. Talk turned light, yet eyes kept drifting to Elias and the fang at his neck. Stories spread fast. How he launched the drone. How he flew alone into death. How he freed trapped young. How he made the blast that opened the way. How Cravor finished the kill. How the word sibling rang clear. Elias slipped away when he could. He walked quiet corridors. He found a small observation deck. The gas giant rolled below. Clouds swirled slow. The nebula edge glowed faint. Peaceful now. He stood there long. He touched the fang. He thought about home, about the laughter that started it all, about how far one step could carry. Footsteps sounded heavy. Cravor entered. He filled the doorway. He stopped beside Elias. They looked out together. No words at first. Cravor broke silence. The hunt changes now. Others will come. Bigger ones, older ones, worthy ones. When they do, you will face them. You will not face them alone. Elias turned to him. I know, I will call. Cravor reached out. He placed one clawed hand on Elias' shoulder. Light pressure. Warm strength. Elias felt it deep. No fear, only bond. Cravor spoke again. You carry my fang. You carry my name in your blood. Sibling. The void hears this, the stars remember. He turned. He walked away. No goodbye needed, none given. His steps faded down the corridor. Elias stayed a while longer. He watched the nebula. He felt ready. Not big, not strong, just sure. Days later, ships left Vor. One by one, the station emptied slow. Elias boarded a Terran courier, small, fast, homebound. He sat in the passenger seat. He looked out at stars. He held the fang in his hand. He smiled small. The pilot, older human, glanced back. You okay, kid? Elias nodded. Better than okay. The ship jumped. Light stretched. Stars blurred. Earth waited far ahead. News followed him. Home channels showed clips. Delegates bowing, the fang, the word sibling. Experts talked. Humans rise fast. Humans prove worth again and again. Elias landed quiet. No parades. No crowds. Family at the gate. His mother hugged him tight. His father gripped his shoulder hard. They saw the fang. They heard the story. They knew what it meant. He walked Earth's streets again. Simple days returned. Yet something stayed changed. He carried the void in his blood now. He carried kinship with the deadliest hunter. He carried proof that small can stand tall. Years passed. Stories grew. Legends formed. Young humans heard them. They trained harder. They looked to stars. They remembered the young Terran who faced ridicule, who bled in silence, who earned sibling from the shadow that scared all. And somewhere in the black, Cravor Thal hunted alone, his ship silent, his claws sharp. Yet when quiet moments came, he remembered the scent. Clean, sharp steel and fire, mixed with blood, mixed with endurance. He smiled rare, Vairaki smile, small fang missing from his jaw. The hunt continued. The galaxy turned.